One of the names most often mentioned when Democrats talk about new party leadership is that of Joseph Biden, the junior senator from Delaware. This morning, contributing reporter Nancy Collins brings us the first of an exclusive two-part interview with the senator. Morning, Nancy.
Good morning, Jane. You know, Joe Biden is an unusual guy in many ways. At 42, he's already been in the Senate for 13 years, where, among other things, he's a ranking member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Privately, he's a devout family man who chooses to commute daily to Washington from his home in Wilmington, Delaware. Politically, he's considered a dark horse contender for the 1988 Democratic presidential nomination. But like all of us, Jane, what makes Joe really unique are the crises he's faced in his life and how he's dealt with them. Today, for the first time, he talks about a tragic event that changed the course of his life and nearly made him leave politics altogether. Joe Biden grew up in a large, close-knit Irish Catholic family in Wilmington, Delaware.
I guess the first and most important thing you always got in my home was that everything began with family.
It was during law school that Joe began his own family when he met and married Nelia Hunter. Could you describe Nelia for me?
Nelia was pixelated. She was extremely bright, extremely beautiful, and very, very beguiling. And she was very strong. She's very much like Jill, my present wife. She had a backbone like a ramrod. They're both very strong, willed women.
In 1972, the 28-year-old Biden decided to run for the Senate seat from Delaware. His 3,000-vote victory over Republican stalwart J. Caleb Boggs was a major political upset.
I was so proud of my family. It was campaigns with families that are in love are great experiences. And I say families that are in love.
But 40 days after Joe Biden was elected, tragedy struck. His wife Nelia and baby daughter were instantly killed in a car accident which left his two boys seriously injured. Reluctantly, Biden was sworn into political office at the hospital bedside of his two sons.
So help you God.
I do.
Congratulations, Senator.
Thank you.
I'd like to talk about a day that I'm sure is probably one of the most tragic, if not the most tragic day of your life. It was December 18th, 1972.
I don't mean to be disrespectful. There's not much to say. I mean, I think it was unfortunately the most graphic demonstration in the world for me as to how little control one has over their lives and their destiny, how much role fate plays, and how vulnerable we all are. At the time, I didn't think any of that. I just felt rage, absolute rage, anger. I mean, it just didn't make sense, and I could not understand that. And when I be very blunt about it, if you dwell on it, I still don't understand it.
Joe, there must have been so much pain there. I mean, didn't you feel at times that you were going to literally break in half?
Yeah, but you know, Nancy, I'm not sure you're getting me to talk about things I never talked about before. Publicly. I believe that literally the legacy that Nelia left me personally and left the boys was the ability to draw strength from what she was and not weakness from her no longer being.
You almost decided as a result of the accident not to accept your Senate seat. Isn't that true?
It was Mike Mansfield that changed that for me. I mean, he immediately thrust me into the middle of things that required me to do some focusing, and he was kind of like the Dutch uncle, and it turned out to be him coupled with Hubert Humphrey's compassion, Ted Kennedy's interest in terms of my personal. People say a lot of things about Ted Kennedy, but I want to tell you something. He was decent and good to me. Again, I don't want this to sound like I think it's just me. I mean, it's not just me. This happened to thousands of people, and that's why I don't like talking about it, because when you talk about it, I think the impression is that, well, you know, what's so special about the problem he had? Well, it wasn't special. But for me, it was the center
But I
of
think
my...
it was indeed very special. I mean, you were a young man, and you had two of the most important people in your life taken away from you like that.
But a lot of that happens to a lot
Yes.
of people, Nancy. And I think were I not a United States Senator and I had been a lawyer, the tragedy and the effect on me would have been equally as great. And I think, though, the reason why I get credit or blame for how I handled it relates to the fact I was a senator. I mean, I was in the public eye.